After 3, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, fuck. Wait, I forgot to clap. Okay.
Okay. That is going in the episode.
Okay. Hello, I'm Haley and this is Taya, and welcome to Haley and Taya Room of Supernatural and Start Over, and also sometimes talk about other stuff, a podcast.
Also known as HATRUSA, and this week we are talking about Season 1, Episode 8, Bugs, which originally aired on November 8th, 2005. If we are really out of it today, it's because we have had a hot mess of a night.
We, for the last, I think, 30 minutes have been trying to begin recording this episode, but the undiagnosed ADHD is really biting our asses tonight.
The undiagnosed ADHD is really killing us.
So our summary.
Wait, hold on. We're going to be talking a lot about bugs.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into detail about them because honestly, other than being like there are now swarms of terrible CGI bugs, there's not much to say about them. But if you don't like hearing about bugs, we are going to be mentioning bugs. So this is your warning to just mute it, but let it keep playing so we get those sweet streams. Yeah. Anyway, here's our summary.
We open and we are in Oklahoma, and it's
Woohoo.
We are on a construction
site.
And
with Travis and Dustin, who look like older Sam and Dean.
They're just
almost
old
scary
Sam
amount.
and Dean.
Except, like, well done old Sam and Dean and not the season finale.
I'm sorry, but when you said well done, I thought you meant, like, overcooked for a second there. Anyway, basically, Dustin dies.
Dustin falls down a hole and
he
his
gets
brain
eaten by
gets
bugs.
By bugs. And then Sam and Dean hear about this in, like, a newspaper? Sam finds it in a newspaper while Dean is like hustling pool or something. And they are saying that he died of mad cow disease, which I don't think makes any sense because literally he was found with like his brain eaten out and his eyes, like blood coming out of his eyes. But they're saying it's mad cow. So like I guess we're going with mad cow.
I did some research shortly after the episode, and in my brief research of looking at what it immediately told me on Google.com, it told me that mad cow disease is usually, I don't know the word right now. I'm tired.
It presents itself? Symptoms?
Well, it's like it shows itself, but with quick dementia. It's dementia. You go crazy. You literally go nuts. You lose your mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about your brain melting. So I don't know why they're just like it's mad cow disease.
Yeah, and it actually says in the Wikipedia that Sam explains to Dean that the symptoms don't match, and Dustin would have been displaying these symptoms for months or years before dying of it. So they decide to drive to Oklahoma. I don't know where the fuck they were before this, but they're like, fuck it, let's go to Oklahoma.
They're at a bar. Like, that's all we know.
But like where? We don't know where. So they get there, they talk to Travis and find out a little bit more, find out that he didn't really have any of these symptoms.
We're like,
they go to the deaths. Yeah, they go to the deaths. The scene of the crime, the death scene, the death spot. Words. Anyway, they go down the hole. They find like 10 dead bugs, and they're like, that's funky. And then they find that they gotta look around. They gotta scope out the zone. So they go to a fucking barbecue
where they are immediately assumed to be a gay couple,
which we hate.
Did you
write this down? We don't have to talk about this now.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Okay, cool. But it's basically it's a housing development, so it's not like a barbecue, like a neighborhood barbecue. It's a come by our houses barbecue. So it's
like a weird open house.
Yeah, and they meet the head of this housing development. His name is Larry Pike, and so they go outside. Sorry if you heard a weird noise. I hit my mic because I'm an idiot. They once again get assumed to be a gay couple, and this time Dean goes along, and I felt my insides die.
Right.
Larry and Dean go on a tour and find out that Larry's son is real into bugs. Meanwhile, Sam and this lady named Linda, who's gonna die, are talking about showers. This is foreshadowing. Sam sees a spider, a tarantula, and is like, excuse me, and she just walks away. And the tarantula belongs to Matt, one of my favorite characters in this episode, and they talk about having shitty relationships with their dads, which...
Right.
Chef's kiss, iconic.
Yeah.
And then Larry comes over and yells at his kid. And
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry. Great. And Sam and Dean have this thing. Dean says he doesn't remember because they're talking about their dad, and Dean's like, Dad was never like that. And Sam's like, that's because you were the good son. And Dean tries to defend their dad, and it's I'm not going into it. This is a John Majester hate podcast, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again later. Anyway,
especially when he gets like back. So
yeah, there was another dead man who died by a severe bee sting, and wow, both these incidents have bugs, and they drive around and talk about there's no ghost activity, so why are the bugs doing this? And they think about Larry's son, Matt, and they go over to an empty house and just squat there.
Yep.
Linda fucking dies. She dies in the shower with lots of spiders because they come out of the faucet, and she screams and slips and falls through the glass and is crawling, and then they kill her. And it's bad. And so they go to the murder and talk to Larry a little bit and then sneak into the house and touch things without gloves. My God, there's like a comical like tape outline of the body on the ground, which was really funny. They see spiders. They go question Matt. Matt is outside. They go talk to him. Matt gets nervous. They tell him about the bugs. Matt is like, hey, I didn't do it. I just like know something is wacky with these bugs, you know?
Yeah.
There's something wacky. And Sam is like, okay, I actually want to read this. And they're walking with Matt, and they talk about family. And Sam says things will get better in 2 years when you go off to college. And Dean thinks it's bad advice because a kid shouldn't leave his family. And I'm like, Dean, you are like so manipulated still by John, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah.
And that makes me really sad. And I think that's one of the tragedies. This is off topic now, but I have to say it real quick. I don't know how I would have ended Supernatural, but it's
well, you're gonna have to figure that out, Taya, because that's literally what this fucking podcast is about.
I know, but it's really sad to never, aside from at the very beginning of season 6 for that brief amount of time, for Dean to not ever get a normal life. Ever?
I literally wish I were dead, Taya.
I'm sorry. It's just, like, Sam at least got to go to college, you know?
Yeah.
And then Sam gets to live out his life. And Dean never does. And Dean never gets out of that mindset that hunting is all that there is.
I'm so mad.
And it's just sad. But anyway, they go into the woods and they find this giant pile of earthworms, and they just kind of poke it, and, like, a hole falls through, and you're like...
And then Dean reaches in there with his hand.
He reaches in there with his bare hand and pulls out a skull. And they're like...
With his hand.
And they're just like, shit. And they're like, there's a spirit channeling through bugs or whatever. And then they talk more about their dad. And Sam is like, Dad was always disappointed in me. And Dean is like, he wasn't disappointed but scared. And he was always proud of you. And you should have picked up the phone. And I'm like, fuck you. Like, it's not, you are the one who said, like, John was the one who said that if Sam left for college, then don't come back. You're not part of the family. So, like, it is not Sam's responsibility, and he owes John nothing.
Yeah.
And he can feel some guilt now that John is gone, but it is never a child's responsibility to reconcile with a shitty parent. Like, that's my take. But anyway, they go to an anthropology department and show it to, like, a professor, and
he's like, then there's some native bone.
Oh, they actually do say the tribe name. Hold on.
They do?
Well, not necessarily the one that they found the bones from.
Oh, I see it. It
tribe
says it right
name.
here.
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce it.
Take your time. In the meantime, I'm going to continue. They go to the very first death place, and they go in. They're at a. Fuck. What's the word? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I've forgotten the word.
Anyway,
Also,
wait, they went to the first death scene again? I thought after going to anthropology, they immediately went to, like, the reservation.
the reservation! That's the word.
It's Yuchi. It's the Yuchi tribe, Euchee. It is only mentioned once in passing and never again.
So we don't know if that's the tribe that they go visit or what.
Yeah, we don't know. Well, that's the tribe they visit.
Oh,
that is the tribe they visit. It is unclear if that is the tribe that the bones belong to, although they speak to a man.
His name's Joe Whitetree.
Yes, but for some reason the summary doesn't say it.
Oh.
His name is Joe Whitetree. He's my fucking favorite. He takes absolutely no shit from Dean because Dean tries to lie to him and he's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you. And Sam tries instead and just like straight up tells like half-truths. Like, he doesn't give all the details, but he gives the truth. And Joe is like, I like this one. Dean just looks so offended. It's very good. I love Joe. But anyway, basically they get this information that there was a tribe. So it's unclear if this is also the Yuchi. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. Tribe is the same, but basically the tribe got attacked for 6 nights, and now nature is protecting the valley. And
normal.
So that's the bugs, and it's the 6th night, so they have to get Matt and the family out. So Matt is outside. He's looking at bugs. He finds a hole. He pokes it, and there's like one roach, and then there's lots of roaches. And he freaks out and goes inside. And then Sam and Dean, well, no, it's Dean. Dean calls fucking Larry and is like, hi, I'm Travis, and you have a gas leak, and you gotta get out of there. It's gonna be real expensive.
And Larry's like, fuck you. You're not Travis. He's my best friend. We drink beers on Saturday.
Well, that's not what he said. He said Travis has worked for us for a year. And,
I lied.
And, yeah, you lied. But he basically is like, who are you? And instead of answering, Dean just closes the phone. He just hangs up. But Sam calls Matt because they exchange phone numbers because they're great. They have a great relationship. This is one of my favorite, like...
side characters?
Yeah, like... Cause,
dynamics?
Like, yeah, Dean gets a lot of side characters that he bonds with. Sam, I don't think, gets as many, and when really
he does,
love
it's
this
a girl
one.
who he, like, fucks for a day, and then has to either kill or leave, and also he doesn't make a emotional connection with because he's still in love with his dead girlfriend.
Yeah, pretty much. But, like, Sam and Matt have such a great dynamic, and Matt immediately trusts Sam when Sam says, you gotta get out of there, and just get your dad out. And Dean is like, tell him you have appendicitis, basically. And they get there, and they're still there. And Larry's like, I'm gonna call the cops.
Larry
Stop talking to my
swinging.
son. Yeah, and because Dean had told Matt, if you tell him the truth, he's gonna think you're crazy. And so Dean's like, what happened to the plan? And Matt is like, I told him the truth. So Larry's yelling, but then bugs start coming. So they go into the house. Sudden wife appearance. Now there's a wife.
Her name is Josie?
Joni. They basically close all the doors and seal off the fireplace, but like the bugs are like plastering the house.
Yeah, they're very strong and very powerful.
Dean gets flammable bug spray. I thought he made it into a flamethrower thing. It's apparently just flammable bug spray, which I didn't think was a thing. But anyway, the bugs get in, they get up into the attic, they almost die because there's no way to... This episode establishes there's no way to break a curse, you just have to wait it out. Yeah. So they're just trying to survive until sunrise. So they're like the roof is literally caving in. The bugs are coming in. They're all getting eaten, and then suddenly it's morning and it's fine.
And the morning scene is very, very sudden.
It's like, ridiculous.
It's insane. But you know
it's
what?
Not only insane, but it's the timing is completely off. And also it goes from dead of night to bright morning real fast.
Yeah.
But anyway, then basically Larry moves out, cancels production for the other houses because of the bones, and
the bone
it's like, I'm not gonna let anyone build on this land ever again. And you're kind of like, First of all, well, he probably owns it. So
yeah, I know.
I would say the first thing to do was to see if, like, the Yuchi tribe, they are 60 miles away. I don't know if there's a closer tribe, but maybe offering to give the land back would be an option. It sounds like he's just gonna leave it. But anyway, Sam and Dean talk about how they want to find their dad, and Sam wants to apologize, which I think is bull, and then the episode ends. And that was a mildly faster summary than usual, but still not really. We're trying to get better.
I'm not actively trying. Anyway.
No, you're not.
No. You know what time it is now? Is my notes time.
Haley's notes.
Haley's notes. The first thing I wrote before the episode even started was, this is my least favorite fuck this app, because I hate the imagery of this episode.
The bugs are bad and gross. And the deaths are also gross. And the CGI of the bugs is, like, horrific. The more you watch them, the worse it gets. Especially at the swarms at the end when they're coming in through the roof. It's like, every swarm, you're like, oh, that is some atrocious CGI.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's also one of the least favorite fan episodes, but I don't know if you want to talk about that later.
I mean, we can talk about it a little bit now. It's just crazy. Yeah, it's
it's
even
like not
Eric
only
Kripke hates it.
And, like, they, like, apologize in it, but like Chuck apologizes in The Monster at the end of this book for making them live bad writing. And in Don't Call Me Shirley, God references this episode, but he comments on the last time he saw such a dark look on an editor's face was when he wrote Bugs. Which I feel really bad for these writers. We haven't talked about the writers before. Each of these episodes is written kind of by a different one, kind of like Doctor Who is. So this one was written by Rachel Nave and Bill Coakley. And I've seen people talk about how, like, Supernatural fans, like, know what writers are good. And
That's so weird to me.
I've never noticed the writers. But I do feel bad for these because I don't think this is a good episode. I would not put this as one of the worst episodes. There are some inconsistencies, and the ending is bonkers because, like, they don't fix anything. They just wait it out.
They just leave.
But I love some of the brother moments so much, and I love Sam and Matt's dynamic so much that I feel bad that it is so hated.
Right.
But also there are moments I hate very badly.
Yeah. So my next note is, why are these characters just old Sam and Dean? Which we already talked about a little bit.
They look a lot like old Sam and Dean. Maybe I'll have to find a good picture of them and post it on Twitter, but they look a lot like old Sam and Dean.
At first we were just like, wow, that guy kind of looks like old Sam. And then they showed the next guy and we were like, wow, that guy looks like old Dean. What?
It was wild.
My next note is, I don't like to see it. That's it. It just says, I don't like to see it, with an exclamation point. And then I wrote, Taya just died IRL.
Because
that's when the eyes were exploded.
Ah.
And you died.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Then I wrote, cute Dean smile.
Okay.
If you want that to be my one, I'm okay with that.
Okay. That's your one.
Okay. Then I wrote credit card schemes. No, because I forgot the whole quote, but basically Sam is like, credit card schemes and
hustling
is not honest, Dean. And Sam is like, fuck that.
But, like, they don't get paid for most of their jobs, so it is like, how are they getting paid? Another reason to have a Discord. Another reason to have a Discord
crowdfunding?
Well, I wasn't going to just say crowdfunding, but it would be a good way to, if someone was low on cash, but they were doing a lot of hunts that weren't getting them money, because I don't think Sam and Dean have gotten paid for, like, any of these hunts.
Never.
I think to have, because, you know, you do have, like, people like Ellen who run a business that is attached to hunters. I think it would be cool for if hunters needed to pool a little extra money to get someone a hotel room for the night or something, or like another tank of gas.
Hey,
like,
can someone Venmo me $5? I need gas.
Literally, I'm not joking about this. Like, I know Sam and Dean basically just steal shit and like fake credit cards, but like some of them probably have legit jobs that they do on top of hunting.
Right.
And maybe some people are able to like shell out a few bucks if someone wants a meal but doesn't want to have to steal it, you know?
For sure. That would be really good in a hunter Discord. I like that
I just want more of a hunter community in our reboot, because I feel like they always made an attempt, but just like they never were really able to follow through with it aside from some reoccurring characters. But I feel like having a Discord would mean, like, it would be weird in like a television show, but I feel like just like having constant contact with with other hunters would be a great way to have a good, solid community.
And they need that.
Really help each other out, especially in this episode where apparently they don't think curses can be broken.
Yeah. And then I wrote, how we were raised is jacked. And I just really liked that because I use the phrase jacked a lot and I feel like nobody does. So when Sam said that, I felt this kindred, like, it was nice. I felt
and
close to
also
him.
He's right.
He's right.
There's a lot of moments in this that are like pro John, and once again I would like to repeat,
this is a
John Winchester hate podcast. We should change our name to John Winchester Hate Podcast.
Yeah, I wrote Dustin and Travis, more like Justin and Travis. Bim bam, please shout me out.
Me. When I saw when I saw the name Travis, I was like, maybe Travis couldn't end up in Supernatural, but he technically got a shout out.
Contact us. Then I wrote, did they not have bugs in the autopsy? Because they're like, yeah, his brain fell to mush. And Taya and I were like, bugs literally crawled into his body. And they're not like ghost bugs, they're real bugs.
I'm confused because I think they found like one spider in the room. But when they talked about Linda, I think her name is, dying, and they said she had spider bites, but like the autopsy or whoever they talked to didn't say like we found her covered in spiders. So I'm not sure if these bugs just vanished, even if they've crawled in someone's ear.
Right.
Like, so I don't know.
But like we know that there were at least some of them left over. So what? Like,
It's unclear. This is one of the areas where the writing is very unclear.
So make it clear.
Make it clear. That's been so many of our episodes are like, make your lore more clear.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really important.
My next thing is quality brother interaction. When they are trying to debate on who will go into the hole, Dean calls Sam chicken.
And Sam's immediately like, I'm gonna do it.
Sam catches the coin that Dean is flipping and goes, I'm going in the hole.
It's a quality brother moment.
It was really funny.
I really love when they are genuine, like they genuinely seem like brothers.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen enough.
No. Then I wrote, and we can talk about this now. Oh, also, I took like a lot of notes this episode. This is the most notes I've taken in an episode.
Man, it's been 26 minutes. This is gonna be another long-ass episode. I hope people don't care.
I hope you guys have been enjoying us because I'm just gonna keep going, and you can't.
We're having a good time. We're having a good time. Please share our podcast.
Please podcast share.
Please.
Then I wrote, stop thinking Sam and Dean are in love. Stop. This is the first time it happens where they are mistaken to be gay. And
this will not be the last. It will not be the last. It's every time it's uncomfortable, and it does happen. I know this happens in real life. It's never happened to me because me and my siblings look so much alike that it's like, if we're standing next to each other, people just know. But it's happened to Haley, and it's like,
I talked about this in the episode, but I'll mention it again now because I feel like everybody needs to hear this, is that this does happen, and it's a genuine fear of mine whenever I go out in public with my brother, that like somebody somewhere is gonna just like, because I feel like people don't like consider siblings to be close, so when they see siblings who are close, they're like, those aren't siblings. And also the fact that we live in such a heteronormative society. My brother is a boy and I am a girl. But we look so similar. I work with kids, and the kids, when they see pictures of me and my brother, they're like, are you guys twins? And I'm like, he's 2 years younger than me. No. But one time I was at a con with my brother, and my brother was buying something, and the guy, like, referred to me as his missus or something, to, like, referring to me as his wife, and my brother was like, that's my sister. And it was really awkward for both of us, and I hated it. So
yeah, and it's also really uncomfortable because for so many seasons they don't have any gay characters. They just have gay jokes like that, and it's like and as Haley said, not to alienate our viewers, but I'm gonna alienate our viewers. If you're into
sorry.
Incest, we don't really want you listening to our podcast.
Yeah, like, I'm so sorry if you were listening to this podcast up to this point and you were like, God, I love Wincest and I love this podcast, and then you get to this episode and you're like, actually, these people suck. Sorry, but I don't want you here. Go away.
Yeah, it makes us both really uncomfortable, so we'd appreciate if you didn't. Now let's move on so we don't have to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, anyway. Well, then I wrote the fact that Dean played later on I wrote, okay, honey, and then I wrote, no, Dean.
Yeah, don't lean into it, Dean.
Don't lean into it, Dean.
Just say we're brothers again. Like, it's not like, I'm glad you can laugh it off. I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. Then I wrote tarantula bad because I'm horribly, horribly afraid of spiders, really bad. And I didn't like seeing it. Then I wrote baby Samandriel Stewart because the
kid who plays
the little
Matt.
baby Matt,
not Mike, Matt.
Shut up. Nobody noticed. Matt is played by the actor who later plays Samandriel in whatever season that's in.
Samandriel / Alfie, one of, a fan favorite who got killed, and everyone was constantly like, bring him back, and he never came back, and I honestly hope that was the actor's decision, because he went and also was on Letterkenny, and,
which is how I recognized him.
And probably made a better choice, because isn't that show, like, good?
It's so funny, but it's, like, dry humor. You gotta be, like, into the humor that's, like, really dry humor.
Yeah, but it's, like, not supernatural.
It's super funny. And then I wrote Dean hair snail, smiley face, because I thought it was really funny that Dean had a hair snail.
Just in case anyone doesn't know what a hair snail is, because I've never heard of it as a hair snail. It's like, if you have longer hair, you usually don't see people with short hair do it, and you wrap the towel around your head. That's all it is.
Then I wrote, spiders so fucking bad, oh my god, frowny face.
That was Linda's death.
Because that was in the shower, and I didn't like it. It was bad.
That's all we have to say about that. Just bad. It was bad. And the CGI there was bad, too. But all the CGI, the CGI gets worse as the episode goes on.
Yeah, which is just...
It's bad.
It's great. Anyway, so then you have, I hope Matt goes into entomology, which by the end of the episode does not happen. But in the beginning, he like really loves bugs, and he's telling Sam and Dean about bugs, and he's like, yeah, I've noticed all the bugs congregate at this one place, and it's like it's the place where they find bones, but you know, it's fine.
I still think, I know like right now it's incredibly traumatic for him, but I still think that he
someday.
I think that, well, because he's 16 right now, so he has a few years to figure out college, and I still think that it's like, if it was such a huge interest to him, I think he could come back to it, or something similar.
Right.
And he seems incredibly smart. I just want him to succeed, and he's a great character, and I think it's because Sam sees so much of himself in Matt, and they just have this fantastic dynamic and bond that just like, it's really good, and you don't get to see Big Brother Sam, like, ever.
No. But I'm gonna say it.
What?
I don't remember what I was gonna say. Sorry, I genuinely...
It's okay. It's mostly the moments with Sam and Matt that make this episode not that bad for me, because it's like it's not a direct parallel, but it's close enough that you like, they understand each other and they have this bond and connection, and like Sam knows his life has gone off the rails, but he wants like Matt's life to be better, and I really like it. I really like it. And I would like Matt to be part of that like therapy trauma group we've talked a lot about, because like it is incredibly traumatic to be almost murdered by millions of insects.
Right.
His parents I care less about. His mom, because she showed up just for the attack, and his dad just sucks. But I want Matt to succeed. So that's all. That's my little Matt rant.
Yeah.
That's my little Matt rant.
And then I wrote, imagine pulling a skull out of a worm pit, because Dean reaches into this worm, like, hole full of worms with no gloves on, grabs a skull, and it's covered in dirt and gross worms and stuff, and, like, he really just pulls it out, and I was like, okay.
I think in the last episode we said that they need to be wearing gloves at all times.
I think we've said it a fucking few times.
They just need to always be wearing gloves.
Yeah, maybe they can have, like, different gloves for different situations, like...
Maybe they can also have some latex throwaway gloves, like, they just need gloves. Because this happened earlier when they broke into Linda's house to see the crime scene. Dean just started touching shit, but, like, not even shit, like, glass.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, Dean... Not only are you tampering with a crime scene and getting your fingerprints all over the place, you're gonna cut your hand open.
Right.
Anyway.
Then I wrote, great Uggs, mate, because there was this, like, once, like, literally 2 seconds where this, like, girl walks by and she's wearing Uggs, and they were, like...
That was the entire scene.
Anyway, then I wrote, the lighting has improved, I think.
The lighting in this was
Granted, it was outside for a majority of it. But the lighting in this one was pretty solid. Still, there's the weird grainy saturation thing, but I think right now that it could just be because it's from 2005.
Yeah. I still don't like their color grade, but I'm living with it. It's just their gritty color grade that they chose to go with, so I'll just hate it, and then I'll die.
Right. Then I wrote the stop blaming the kid and to reach out to parents, which you already talked about a little bit. Do you have more to say?
I can't even remember what I said, honestly, but basically just that. I don't like when stories, and even shows and movies that I've greatly enjoyed have this. I said this in the commentary. Detective Pikachu does this too, where a parent, usually a father, has somehow failed a child, whether being neglectful or manipulative or abusive, and they change, but the kid like misses out on reconnecting with their parent and feels guilty, and that guilt is understandable and valid, but the narrative usually pushes this idea that the kid should have reached out, and it's never, even though Sam is an adult, it's never like a kid's responsibility to reach out to a parent that hurt them. They have no, like, they don't owe their parent anything, and that's just where I stand on that. I don't think the show is really pushing this, like, Sam should have been more open to speaking to his family that completely rejected him.
And it's like, no, the fuck he shouldn't have. He was doing fine.
Yeah, so that's all.
That's all. Then I wrote, Joe Whitetree said, fuck off. And then immediately after that,
yes.
Taya loves him.
I love him. He took absolutely no shit. Like, I already said that. He's so great, and it's, did you write anything else down about general Native Americanness in this episode? Or should I talk about this now?
2 notes down. I wrote, so first of all, I wrote a quote from you where you said, how do they know they're not bones? What you meant to say was, how do they know they're Native American bones? Because
they went to an anthropology department. I was talking about something else at that point.
We might have been talking about 50 Shades of Grey. I don't remember. But we weren't focusing.
When we open our Patreon, you really should, like, even if you don't want to watch the episodes with us, you should listen to us talk about them. Because the amount of off-topic we get is incredible. We very well could have been talking about 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. And then I wrote, kudos to SPN for not glossing over the barbaric bad stuff done to native tribes.
Yes, because when Joe is talking about what happened in the valley where the housing development is being built, they do not gloss over the fact that I'm just going to say the natives living there, because we are not sure which tribe they are, were brutally murdered. They were attacked. Over 6 days, they were raped. They were assaulted. They had everything destroyed. Like, Joe does not pull back, and neither did Supernatural, and I really appreciate that, because a lot of times when this cursed Native American land thing comes up, that aspect of the people who lived there were brutalized and very violently killed and driven out of their homes is glossed over, or just like briefly mentioned as an aside, but there is a very full conversation about that, which I can appreciate.
Would you even, it's not even really a conversation, it's Joe telling them and they listen.
Yeah, Joe tells them, they listen, and they don't say anything in defense, obviously. That would be stupid. But they never tell him you're wrong. They never counter him. They listen and they believe him. And when he says this is nature's way of fighting back, they believe him. And they're like, yeah, you're probably right. You're the expert. And they default to him, which is very good. Aside from the fact that this is like a 5-minute scene and the only native character that shows up in this episode.
Yeah.
Which, do I talk about that now?
Oh, yeah, talk about it now.
Okay. I feel like if you're going to have an episode about sacred, cursed Native American land, you really need to make the Native American part of it in 2020, like, a large part, because all we get is that one scene with Joe, and I really, like, they go back without any help, which you don't want your native, like, you never want any token minority to be just there for info dumping, which, to be fair, they kind of did with Joe, or to be, like, your magic savior, but I thought that this would be a fantastic episode to introduce some native hunter.
Right.
Obviously, each tribe has very unique belief systems, so it wouldn't be like a catch-all, and you wouldn't want it to be. But I think it would be a really cool thing to introduce a character to help them out with this curse, which they think can't be broken, but whatever. To come back to them to the house, to the land, to actually make Native Americans a part of the story, because
Correct.
They're kind of just in the background. They're just the backstory. They're not actively a part of it, and I think that they should be. And I think it would be really cool to have a native hunter who is introduced in this episode maybe, but then continues to be a presence throughout the series. Not necessarily a regular, but one of those hunters who keeps coming back. They'll run into them at, like, I don't know, bars or other hunts, fighting other creatures. If they do decide, and by they I mean if we decide we should have, for some reason we must have an episode that involves Native Americans, then you have at least a character who may have other connections to other hunters in other tribes. Like, just having more, plus that just adds more people of color, which the only other person of color we've met in this show so far was last
notably
episode,
that we can remember,
Lori's roommate who died.
Yeah. So
that's
not a good color on you, Supernatural.
It's not great. We're 8 episodes in. The only other one I can remember is a black dude who showed up for like 2 seconds at Sam's Halloween party at the Halloween party at like a bar in the first episode. That's it. But anyway, that's why I think that Supernatural should have a native hunter introduced in this episode, and then just be there for the rest of the series and be really cool. And that's it.
And it could have been Joe.
I don't think it needed to be Joe. I would have just liked to see more Joe, because Joe is fucking awesome, and I think they should just add him to their Hunter network for, like, more information, and so he can roast Dean at random intervals.
Right.
Because I think that people should be allowed to roast the Winchesters at any time.
Like, Dean comes back from hell one of the 3 times, and Joe just in the Discord just goes, "Third time's a charm." That's it. And then he goes, like, silent for another couple months or whatever.
I love Joe. It was good.
Yeah. My next note is Taya forgot about the Winchesters being from Kansas, because Taya forgot that the Winchesters were in Kansas. They were talking about how Dean and Sam probably wouldn't have learned, like, anything in school where they're from, and I was like, they're from Kansas, stupid. God.
To be fair, they also didn't end up going to school, but...
Yeah.
I did forget, like, will I remember the very intricate details of the plot? Yes. Will I also forget they're from Kansas when it's on their license plate?
Yes!
Yes.
You will, and you did!
I did!
And we literally, the end of every fucking episode, I swear to God, is the license plate that says Kansas!
I'm sorry!
You're not sorry enough. Anyway.
I'm not.
Then I wrote roaches, baby! Because that's when the roaches happen. Then I wrote, Matt and Sam are best friends. Sam is his big brother now. And then I did a smiley face. Because Matt and Sam are best friends, and Sam is his big brother now, and it's just really good, and Big Brother Sam is...
It's good. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good. Biblical Swarm, haha, oh fuck, wait, no, for real, is what I wrote, because I wrote Biblical Swarm just to, like, laugh at, but then, like, it actually happened, and I was like, wait, lol.
Smooth.
Then I wrote dramatic string music is good, because they had this dramatic string music playing during the swarm, and I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here. I see what you're trying to do here. And then I wrote, imagine trusting Dean Winchester, lol, because as much as I love Dean Winchester, I would not trust him.
Yeah, he's not a trustworthy looking person.
I just wouldn't.
He just doesn't look like a man I'd trust.
No.
I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but if I saw Sam or Dean walking down the street, I would cross the road.
Yeah, it's not, you don't want to be near them.
First of all, they're very tall, and I'm very short. They're white men who wear flannel and leather jackets, and they're usually carrying many firearms. And so sometimes I look at the Winchesters, particularly later season Winchesters. Early Sam doesn't give me this vibe as much, but sometimes I look at the Winchesters and I'm like, I feel like you would call me a slur.
Yeah.
So,
and, like, they wouldn't even, like, not even a slur that would, like, go, like, work with you? I don't know how to say it, but like
Not like an appropriate slur.
just like a slur.
Just like a slur. We
Yeah.
need to move on.
Yeah. Then I wrote the attic, because they go up into the attic, and it was weird. Then I wrote,
They were trying to
Dean give
protect
it up on
himself
the
from
bug
bugs.
spray fire, because he just kept using that bug spray fire, and it was clearly not doing anything.
He seemed to think it was doing something, but there were so many bugs in there at that point, and I was like, dude, give up and just die.
He was trying really, really hard, and like I respected it to a point, but then it was like, okay, just accept it. You do later. Anyway, they really waited that one out, is the next thing I wrote, because they really waited that one out. And I was like, this is boring and horrible. But it's fine, because then my next note is, Matt's okay, and then a little crying smiley face. Because Matt was okay in the end, except for the lasting psychological trauma he will have to live with.
Yeah, he throws away all his bugs, which made me really sad, but like I get it, it's incredibly traumatic, but like it was something he loved so much and knew so much about that it's like really sad to see him decide that, you know.
He didn't want that anymore. But then I wrote, Sam, sorry, I wrote in a correction note. I wrote Big Brother Sam voice has my heart, because he when Sam walked over to him when he was throwing it away, he was like, hey, what's this? And I was like, oh my god.
It was such a Big Brother moment. It was so good.
And then I did Sam wants to find Dad, and then I wrote don't apologize.
Yeah, Sam wants to find John and apologize, and I was like, that's some bullshit.
It was some bullshit.
He doesn't need to apologize. He's like, I feel bad about what I said. And I'm like, yeah, but you were 17 probably, 17 or 18. Mm-hmm. You were a kid who was trying to get out of a shitty situation. Because whatever you say, living basically out of your car and hotels and fighting monsters is a shitty situation. It's a shitty living situation. And no kid should grow up constantly thinking they're about to die. And it doesn't matter what he said. It matters what John said, because John is the parent and John is the adult. And John said, if you go to college, you are no longer a part of this family. Yeah. So you don't have to apologize, Sam, because you were trying to do what was best for you.
People say shit when they're teenagers. Before I went to college in Virginia for a hot second, apparently I told my mom that I didn't care if they lost the house while I was gone. Which I have no recollection of saying, but my mom said that I said that to her. Mm-hmm. I was like, sorry.
I just don't think Sam needs to apologize. Like, I mean, John has a lot of apologizing to do, but I think Sam and Dean are owed a million apologies, and that's that. So it's been 50 minutes. So
we have to speed run the last few segments. First segment, crack shipping, nothing. Brought to you by. Mine is I'm All Done by the Peasants, because I'm all done with this episode. Drum roll, please. Nope.
Mine is Medusa by Bob Reynolds, because Sam and Dean, it played, I guess, when they went to the Department of Anthropology, which was just kind of funny, and I was like, Medusa, I mean, I guess why you chose that, but stone and skulls, not really the same, but we'll go for it. Right. And then our favorite thing on the Wikipedia page.
Mine is underneath the trivia section. The antagonist says cursed insects. I just think that's funny.
Nice. My favorite trivia, I actually have two, because we half mentioned one of them, which was that the entirety of the Pike family comes back in Supernatural. So Matt comes back as Samandriel/Alfie in season 8, and then the parents later play another married couple in Atomic Monsters, which I just think is really funny that Supernatural was like, just reuse the actors.
That was in
no
season
one will notice.
15?
Apparently. They were like, no one will notice. Guess what? I noticed. But actually my bigger fun fact or favorite part is this is actually under errors, I think. Hold on. I have to find it. I lost it.
Uh-oh.
Curse.
Fucked it, Tay.
I did.
There's continuity.
Oh, never mind. It's under trivia. It's that they state curses are impossible to break, and you can only just get out of the way, which is why they just sit in a fucking attic for like 3 minutes. It probably realistically, if you timed it out, would have been hours, but it was like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But this is never again repeated, with the Winchesters breaking curses multiple times throughout the rest of the series, which again is something in hindsight they probably didn't realize was going to happen, because that's what makes this so hard, is we know we have 15 seasons. I think they knew they had 5, and then after that, they never knew if they were going to get a season after the season they were working on. So each season is more contained, I would say, than the first 5, which have a more overarching storyline. But the inconsistencies are beautiful, and I actually think it would have been really funny if they had just continued with if they like had a Bible, like a story Bible, and they had written down like curses can't be broken, and so then they can never break curses anymore on the show. But anyway,
it would be really good. That's for our rewrite. We have to do that.
Creative, because they break like a major plot point line of season 10 is removing the mark of Cain, which is the first curse. Now you can't do that. Good luck. Figure it out.
Have fun, assholes.
Anyway.
And since you had 2 favorite wikis, I'm gonna steal another favorite wiki. It's the fact that Dean Winchester watches Oprah. Anyway, Taya.
Yeah?
How do you feel about road trips down memory lane?
I mean, depends. This is a road trip down memory lane, so not loving that.
Next episode, I think we're gonna go back to Kansas.
Are we gonna go back to Kansas?
We're gonna go back to Kansas.
Aw, shit. Toto, we're going back to Kansas.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Spotify, Apple Mod Music Podcasts. I don't know how Apple works.
Also, if you want to subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on SoundCloud, you should also follow us on Instagram, even though I never post things on time. You should follow us on Twitter for some great commentary from me. Haley doesn't tweet as much, but I have been tweeting about the Hunter Discord.
Yeah, I kind of forget Twitter exists.
Please, someone talk to me about the Hunter Discord. And also, please share our podcast. We have no idea how to market, so we 100% rely on you sharing our podcast. What?
Tweet at us if you think that we should have a little Instagram Q&A on our story.
Who would even ask questions?
Anybody.
Okay.
But you know what? That's all for today. Catch you on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side.